Hello everyone, hope you're doing well and looking after yourselves. Yes, we're back with another episode of Behind the Curtain, where we discuss some of the topics that we discussed in previous episodes in a bit more detail. And as you can see, we're back at Roundhouse Works in a new location that we use. And I definitely would recommend, we might actually do a video about Roundhouse Works. I need to actually just plan everything out, but like I said, life is busy. But yeah, I'm here with an amazing guest speaker, and we're going to be discussing an amazing topic. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker today. Yulia, could you just let us know a bit about you and what you do?
So hey, my name is Yulia. I'm currently an aerospace engineering student at Brunel University, and I'm going on to do my MEng year, starting this September. So yeah, that's something I'm really excited about. And I'm currently on an internship, a 10-week internship at Rolls-Royce, where I'm interning as an engineering intern within their power system sector. So yeah, that's given me a lot of exposure over the summer into actual real-life engineering, just working environment. But yeah, I've also had the chance to do an internship at Kane International through a mentor that I had this year who works there. So yeah, I think overall this summer, I think for me has just been really, it's expanded my knowledge and helped me to put my theoretical knowledge into action. So yeah, it's been quite exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, she's being very humble because she's won awards. She's an award winner. Mentee of the Year with YBEC, that's an organisation at Brunel that do amazing work in promoting women in engineering. But yeah, she's very humble. She didn't mention that. Undergrad of the Year, top 10 finalist with Rolls-Royce. You've won many awards. We'll be diving into all of this later on. But let's start with the first official question, which is all about... so this episode, I think we're sort of thinking about it as just like, not everyone has the same educational journey. I don't know when we'll release. This will probably be released before the episode that we recorded yesterday, but the episode that we've got coming up with Sisters in STEM, or STEM. We were talking about all our educational journeys, and especially as black people, we were talking about how sometimes you don't feel comfortable sharing your failures, or like how things might not have worked out the way you wanted to. And as some of our avid listeners and watchers may know, for some of our episodes, we've actually been having those conversations about name a time when something like didn't work out the way you wanted, and we wanted to see a redirection. So yeah, this episode's all about that. We're going to be talking both about, obviously I'm going to be Yulia, and I'm going to be learning more about, and we'll be learning more about her educational journey, but also I'll be sharing some more about my own too, because it's only fair. But yeah, we're going to start with the first question, which is what inspired you to, go on this journey of academic excellence, personal growth? Like I said, you've won all these awards and stuff, but what inspired you to, especially to go into like aerospace engineering? Because I know like engineering as a whole, to me, it's complicated. Like it's a lot. That's why in my family, my brother is the engineer and I am the environmental scientist, because it can be a lot. It can be a lot.
It's scarier than it looks, though.
Okay.
It's scarier than it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go into it. What inspired you to like study aerospace engineering?
I was going to say scarier. It's not as scary as it looks. I'm playing it in my head. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what inspired me to get into aerospace engineering?
Yeah.
I think just for me growing up, especially since I was young, I've always wanted to excel and just achieve things that haven't really been done before. I almost wanted to be like a pioneer. So whatever I was involved in, so I was a competitive swimmer for like 6-7 years.
Wow.
My dream was to be an Olympic swimmer.
Damn.
I used to do, what else? Space. I love space science. As simple as just learning about just like our galaxy or the comparison between the sun and the earth. Like the sun can fit into the earth 1 million times. And then there are, billions of stars in our galaxy, and so many billions and millions of galaxies. So just creation in general, I was just in awe of it. And it was something I wanted to study in depth. And like I said, because I just wanted to excel in everything and reach like specific roles within, as an engineer, as a scientist, that hasn't really been done before. I wanted to be an astronaut until age 15, 16. yeah, so until A-level, until I was humbled, but I really wanted to be an astronaut. So I had that drive, I guess, behind my studies. So that's how I got into space science, or just STEM in general. And I pursued that. So I made sure, whether it be GCSE or A-level, I took courses that allowed me to pursue engineering at university. So I think that is how I got into aerospace. I'm more of a practical person, and I know a lot of space science careers leads into research. So I knew maybe that wouldn't be the route for me. So I think aerospace engineering kind of allowed that combination of practical and also theoretical knowledge. So I think, that's kind of how I got into aerospace.
Oh, that's really cool. And it's also nice to find someone as well who's interested in space. I mean, like I said, I didn't go into engineering, but I do like space and space travel. And like the only reason, like physics for A-level was tough.
It was humbling.
It's humbling, man.
Yeah. No, honestly, it was so difficult. Yeah.
But like I love the space stuff and learning. Even like when it got into like quantum physics and
that was painful, but it's rewarding when you understand it.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess to sort of add on to this, how is your educational? Like I said, we're going to be going to specific moments, but how has your educational journey shaped your perspective? Both on education, but also success, because I think sometimes, like we said, like people get so hung up on. I got like I graduated from university with a first. I got a distinction in my dissertation. I didn't even know this until my own graduation because my undergrad one was online. So when they were at my master's graduation, they were just like, reading out. This person got like the highest mark in their course for I didn't even know you got that announced with your name, and I was like, props to these people. Like dissertations can be hard as a whole, but to be the highest in your year, to get that grade or to lead into like other research is very impressive. I think that's an interesting perspective, because especially with like GCSEs and A-level results, like literally last month being announced almost at this time, there's always been this like focus on I need to get like, if I don't get like an A or a B, like I'm a failure or I'm not successful. So I'd like to know, how has your journey shaped your perspective on both education and success, and what that means to you?
That's a really good question. I think just on the topic of A-levels, I took, for my first year of A-level, just physics, maths, chemistry. I wasn't actually able to take physics to begin with because I got C in GCSE. So I took it externally. I ended up taking 5 A-levels for my AS year.
Wow.
And it was very difficult. However, I kind of lacked that study system. So I dealt with a lot of procrastination. As driven as I was, I just wasn't able to practically follow up and keep up with my studies. So as a result, I ended up failing. My A-levels for first year, moving to a different sixth form, and having to start over again. So that was kind of a shock, because it didn't follow the initial plan that I set up for myself to achieve my engineering goals. It was humbling. Honestly, so I had to find a new sixth form, start over again, and it did shake my confidence. I wasn't as confident in myself to be able to achieve my dreams, or in academia I was questioning myself, like, what's wrong with me? Why me? Like, everyone else was able to do it, but how comes I wasn't able to actually just succeed in my A-levels? So I ended up failing at A-levels a few times before I even got into university. I ended up taking a gap year and really just thinking about, what is it that I really want to do? Why am I struggling? I'm so ambitious, like I said, purpose-driven. Why do I keep failing? It's not like I don't care. But again, for me, it was the practical aspect. I wouldn't necessarily I wanted to cover all the topics and study all by myself. Like, I'll be in class, I'll zone out, but then I'll think to myself, okay, I'll go home and go over all of that again. I just wasn't able to keep up, though. I would procrastinate a lot. And I think after my gap year, I ended up taking a different route to university. I ended up going to, I did a 1 year, like a foundation course, not with my uni, but with a college, 1 year engineering foundation course. And that gave me access into university. I was able to get the exact grade that I needed for that. So then going to university, and I was like, again, I'm like age-wise a bit older than the people in my year, and not a lot of people had that similar experience. You know, in engineering, you don't really hear people saying, "Yeah, I failed my A levels to get to study this course." So there was a challenge that I faced in that area, but I think overall I met so many people who had that good study system in place. You know, so I learnt from them. I would study with them. Would really push each other. I think community at university, finding your people on your course is so important. I would suggest anyone, don't try to get through university in your own strength, or try to study these topics by your own, like by yourself, you know. Be ask questions, be willing to just ask for help when you need it. And yeah, so you know, and then fast forward to this year when I just finished my third year of aerospace engineering. So I would apply to a lot of grad schemes and placements, and I would keep getting rejected. Understandable, you know, the companies were very competitive where I was applying. However, I didn't give up there. Even the internship I did with Rolls-Royce, initially I wasn't successful, but I wasn't successful last year. However, I found alternative routes, like you mentioned, Undergraduate of the Year award. I came across that, and I realised the award which I had wanted to apply to, which is Excellence Through Adversity, was actually sponsored by Rolls-Royce. And you can get an internship. So I took that route. I went through the application and I reached top 10. Even the internship at Kane International, I didn't take the normal route of sending my CV and applying. I actually had a mentor. You see, I reached out to with Brunel University mentoring program. They gave me a mentor. And he just guided me throughout the year with various applications, master's applications, just job applications, looking through my CV, and just being that support to me, Jonathan Hall, shout out. But yeah, and then at the end, he ended up offering me an internship at his company for 6-7 weeks. This was prior to even getting my second one with Rolls-Royce. So these internships that I've had so far, and the success I guess I've had, didn't really come through the normal conventional routes. So I think, to answer your question, what have I learnt, or how has that shaped my perspective on success? It may not look like everyone else's. Success may not look like how it does for everyone else. Don't be afraid to take the unconventional, route, that is the unpopular route, to reach your goals. I think that's something I've learned. And also about persistence and perseverance. I really had to be resilient and push through failing my A-levels and failing again and again, going through a different route again to engineering. I could have given up, and I did at one point feel like giving up, and you struggle mentally at the same time. I think just that element of persistence, resilience, and also not being afraid to take unconventional routes, things that are not the norm, that are out of the norm, I guess. Don't be afraid to do that. So you can reach success that way, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I like that.
Did I answer that properly?
Yeah, you answered that amazing.
Was that waffling?
No, that was waffling. Honestly, I think there's a lot that you can dive in, like a lot of things people can learn from what you just said. Okay. Because I think sort of to pick up the key areas that, I think definitely needs to be spoken about is one, I think like you said, just normalising that A-levels, especially, I think more A-levels than GCSEs. There is a lot of pressure for, literally some of the, some people that I know from my church. They just got their their GCSE results, and they were, stressing. And they were just, oh my gosh, it's gonna, my whole life's gonna be, changed by this. And I was just look, man, I'm telling you.
It's not that deep.
It's not that deep. I was GCSE, Jeffrey, he was thinking the same thing. I was AS and A-level Jeffrey was thinking the same thing. And I was just I told them, for me, when I was younger, I was, surprising. People were surprised by this, but I said, some of them are, some of them are. But I said I wanted to be a politician, because I was I really like the idea of being able to, make change in my community and do all of this. But,
I could see that.
Yeah, so for a long time, I wanted to be a politician. Then I sort of, hit my teens, and I was you know what? I'm good. Because I was just even from a young age, I was just you could really tell with politics that sometimes you're not actually able to implement what you want. Because whether it's because your party wants to do something different, or because, to do with external circumstances, it always felt with politics, there's always that you have to find a way to, I mean, again, it's a smart thing with politics of trying to find common ground for everyone, but then that means you're not always able to do the things that you want to actually implement and change. So for me, I was like, nah, politics, I'm good. Then because I did a lot of I love science fiction, so I was reading a lot of like science fiction books when I was in my teen years, and I was thinking, oh cool, like nanotechnology, the idea of like using like these small robots to create all these like cool stuff, and I'm a comic book fan, so like Iron Man and all this stuff, like it interested me. So I was like, cool, I want to go into nanotechnology or bioengineering, and I was like, maybe I'll do that for a uni. Came to my like GCSEs, came to GCSE results day, and literally like we said, so I don't even remember what I got for my, like, it was ages ago.
Right.
But like, I think for, all I remember is, and this really annoyed me, because maths, I was one off an A, and I was just like, I could get it remarked, but I was just like, you know what, I want them to remark it, and the grade changes and goes lower, so I'm like, you know what, let me just take it. But I think for physics, I got literally like we were saying, like I got a C, at my school's sixth form, you had to have, I think, a B.
Yeah.
So there was this whole thing of like my parents and I would think like we were like rushing, we were applying for other schools. And yeah, a lot of people, I don't think anyone actually knows this, apart, maybe my family do, but like we had a trip to Barcelona. So like my parents, I was like stressing because I was like, cool, I don't know where I'm going to sixth form, but sixth form is coming, and they were just like, cool, just go on the trip, just relax, just chill. But yeah, so we went on the trip, and then as a family anyways, we're like, when we go on holiday, we like to, with my siblings, like we like to explore places. So we went to this church, and they were doing like, you could go in, like sit. So I literally just went in and I prayed, and I was like, God, I don't know what's happening. I was like, I was just like, if I can go to my school, that would be amazing. But I was like, at this point, like, I don't know what's happening. So just anything that can work out, I'll do it. So I came back, my parents told me that they had a meeting with my head teacher to discuss if I could go to the school. They wanted to sort of raise some stuff. So they spoke with him, and then literally they were just like, okay, cool. So he said that he wants to meet you the next day, like just come in and just speak. So I came in, just spoke, and then literally like he was just like, the head teacher was just like, you know, we're bringing you back. You can come back, you can stay at school. So literally, that might not be necessarily a failure, but for a moment, I was generally just like, I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, so I don't know where I'm going. And then A-level results. So AS, I did maths, history, drama, and physics. Again, people generally get confused why I did such a random. I liked drama, I liked history, and then my parents would say, like my parents and my family were just like, oh, if you're doing physics. Do a maths, because if you do want to like go into the engineering route, you've got that. Yeah. But personally, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do at uni until just before when you had to literally pick your course. So yeah, bringing it to like year 13, it came to when you, like we were saying about procrastination, one thing that stuck for me from secondary school is one of the teachers did an assembly about ostriches, and he was just like, yeah, it makes sense. And he was literally just like, oh, so with ostriches, whenever they're stressed or things are like getting hectic, they have a tendency to just literally just put their head in the sand and just hope for the best. And he said, when it came to, I think that was for GCSEs, he was just like, it's the same thing. Everyone's kind of like, oh, exams are coming. Like some people will have their like, I don't know, like monthly plan of, okay, so if I do this much studying on this day, plan all of this, then I can do all of this. Me, I was not in that boat. Like, it came to a point where I was literally just like, ostrich head in the sand, like, I don't want to think about it, like, when it comes, it comes. And it was the same with my A-level. So when it was like picking your like course in university, I was like, I generally have no idea. Because I was just like, so for year 13 I dropped maths, so I only was doing drama, history and physics. Obviously there is no overlap between those three areas, so I was just like, cool, I'm looking for courses. They're like, oh, if you want to do a science, you have to have like a science subject and maths. If you wanted to go into, well, then drama, you could just do drama, history, you could just do history. But I was like, I didn't want to go and do drama at university. I have African parents, but
simple. I wanted to do art in GCSE. We leave it at that.
Yeah, even convincing my parents for both to do drama for GCSE and A-level was,
that's mad.
Yeah, honestly, like they like
no.
And my siblings are just,
been through that.
Honestly, like even to this day, like my siblings are just like the fact that you were able to do it. Yeah. And, like, but to be honest, anyways. And like I say, even though I didn't like go and study drama drama later on. I didn't study history like at uni.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff I learned from both that have still impacted the way, like drama, I've said I probably wouldn't be as confident to do some of the stuff that I do without doing drama, because you learn like how to learn about body language, you learn about how to like, you know, portray emotions, you learn about the emphasis of when you're like reading a script, how to emphasize certain words. So for me, drama helped me with public speaking and getting comfortable in front of cameras, doing stuff like this. So yeah, when it came to year 13, physics came, my physics teacher at the time was really nice, and my drama teacher, like both of them had known me, I think, almost my whole time at secondary school. So when it came to A levels, and everyone was just like, "Oh, I want to study this and this," I don't think I told my drama teacher. I think she found out possibly from either one of my head of form or whatever. She was just like, "What do you want to do at uni?" And I was like, "I have no clue," because I was like, I could do an engineering thing, but I don't have a maths. I was like, a science would be interesting, but I don't know which one. So she was just like, "Well, what do you like?" And I was like, "Well, I like sustainability. I like the idea of like looking after the environment." So she said, "Oh, speak to your physics teacher," because she knew him and just like he did something similar at university. So the whole idea of me doing environmental science came from that discussion, because literally my physics teacher after one lesson was just like, "Cool, let's just sit down, let's look at courses that are currently available." And he was like, "Are you going to stay in London?" I was like, "Yes." He was just like, "Okay, cool. Like, what are of these subjects? What do you think will be interesting?" And I said, "Oh, environmental science. It looks good. Like, it's open. It gives me a lot of career opportunities afterwards." So yeah, long story short, comes the results day, and I've said this before. Like I was just like, everyone's told when it comes. So two things. One, before results day, and I'd finished all my A levels, my dad had the best advice, and I still stick to it to this day. He's just like, anytime you do an exam, don't talk about it afterwards. Everyone's gonna be like, "What did you put for this answer? What did you do for this answer?" He's just like, "Just keep your mouth shut. Just be like, you don't remember." Yeah, you're just like, if people are just like, "Oh, how can you not remember it?" Just be like, "Look, I just needed to study for this exam, and I've left it. I've done the exam. I've left it there." Afterwards, he's just like, "Don't talk about it." And then even like after the results day, like I'd done all my exams, he was just like, "Cool, leave it there. Like you like no amount of stressing or worrying is going to then like change anything." Exactly. So I was like, "Cool." Came to results day, and everyone, like, I know people were saying before, like, "Oh, if you don't get like an email from the university saying like you've enrolled, then that means that you're not going to uni and you're gonna have to go through clearing." Obviously, that didn't happen. Like, I checked UCAS on the day, so before I even knew my results, I found out I got to Brunel. And Brunel was my insurance, so I was happy with that. But yeah, literally, I came to results day, like, I got my results, and I found out I got CCE and the E was in physics. So even the fact that I got to university, I was a bit like, wow. Yeah. Okay. Like especially when I'm doing the science is the one that I need the grade in. I was like, cool. Fast forwarding it to today, where like I've graduated from my masters and all that stuff. I look back on it and I'm like, I'm not upset with anything. Like, I definitely before was a bit conscious of saying like, "Oh, I got CCE for my A levels and stuff like this." But literally, kind of like with my dad, like my parents say it, my siblings say it, like at the end of the day, no one cares. Like, especially when you're applying for jobs, no one cares about your A levels anymore. Like, as soon as you've got your degree, and then you've got your next degree, and like people generally don't care. So I think like you were saying about success and education, I think for me it was just two things. So one, always study stuff that you enjoy. Don't necessarily study, and I know this again, like I said, depending on the type of parents you have, I know this can be difficult, but always do stuff that you enjoy, because at the end of the day, and again, like I always say on the podcast, my dad has very interesting sayings. He's got stuff that sticks, and he was just like, if you study a subject that you don't like, and I think that's why personally I didn't do well in maths, my AS, because I didn't like maths. My maths teacher was not the best, so I was like, cool, I'm not enjoying this subject. I didn't really like revising for it, so if you're doing a subject that you don't like, you will always struggle to revise for it. You'll always struggle to do it. Even with university, like we were saying about like almost thinking of quitting. Like my master's dissertation, I generally there was one point where I was just like, cool, I don't even care like what it is. I want to just submit it like this. Like I'm done. Like as long as I pass, whatever grade I get, I'm cool.
Yeah,
like
you're settling.
Exactly.
You're ready to settle. Yeah.
And then my whole family was just like, no, like just like relax, take it easy, because literally I think a couple of days before the submission date, I got I wasn't like a serious injury, like I got an infection on my foot, so I was literally just like, cool, like I don't know if I was like my lecturer was just like, "Oh, we need to do this and this, like you need to improve this on your course," and I was like, cool, like this is getting all too much. I was like, you know, I don't care, like just submit it, like I'm done. But then I got an extenuating circumstance, was able to submit it later, and I passed. And even like the fact that I passed it, I was just like, I don't even care the percentage, the grade, like I passed. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. You got what you needed.
Exactly. So I think sometimes. So I think for me the second thing would be also like no matter, because for my undergraduate one, I would definitely say my dissertation, I loved the idea. It was something that I suggested. My supervisor was definitely like up for supporting it. My second one, it was only because of like how complicated arguably you could argue I could have done it, but with the time that I had for my master's dissertation, I picked something that someone suggested, and that sort of links back to the whole idea of doing stuff that you enjoy rather than doing stuff that other people enjoy. Because there were times when I was literally like researching it and I was like, this is the driest thing ever. Like, this is dull. I would prefer to just like do something else. I prefer to just like maybe just, looked at another like topic that I could have done. Even like when I started to research it, I was kind of thinking, oh, you know what, maybe I'll just ask if I can get a new supervisor, do a new topic. But I was like, I've got a supervisor, I know my supervisor as well, so like she knows what she's doing. But literally like what you're saying, I think the key thing I've learned is that you've just got to like do what you enjoy, because when you don't, that's when things like you don't enjoy what you're particularly doing.
Or even like have a purpose
for
what you're doing, because I think something I've learned is, even with engineering, that you may not enjoy everything. I think it's also, especially for young people, it's good to understand you won't enjoy everything. But sometimes you have to persevere and push through it to get the result that you want.
Exactly.
So we have this like idea of, if I don't enjoy it, I shouldn't be in it. It's not for everything though. Some things you have to push through, persevere. Maybe when you get the degree, it gives you a job that you'll actually end up enjoying. So I think finding the balance between that.
I definitely agree.
I had to learn that the hard way.
I think we've sort of done this, so I'll ask it anyways. And if we feel like we've done it, we can go to the next question.
Okay.
But can you share a pivotal moment or experience that significantly influenced how you approach like overcoming challenges, achieving success, learning from failures? I mean, I know you shared your A-level journey, but is there another like moment that you feel like this also like, if this like changed your direction or like changed how you approach, like especially like I guess on a mindset of like perseverance and things like that?
Yeah, I think for me 2 moments come into mind, and one of it is with, of course I mentioned A-level already, but just to give like an in-depth into it, when I received my grades for when I failed AS, humbling moment. And I was just standing outside, and my friend, she went to her house to get something, and I just had a moment where I'm like, okay, like it was so painful, but I was like, okay, I'm faced with the reality, and it was because I'm a Christian as well, so everything that I've done, I relate it with God and my faith. So what I mean by this is like, I know that I know God works everything for my good. And it's easier to say it now, but when you're failing and you're faced with it, it's like, where's my faith, But in that moment, I had to make I remember it till this day. I was listening to, I don't know if you know the worship song. Wait, we'll cut this one out. We'll continue. 1,000 times it's good. Should I stumble again?
It sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
Everlasting or something?
Oh, yeah, I think, yeah.
It would be nice if I remembered
it. We will put the name, it will appear, like, and everything.
What, you're going to add
Okay.
But, so there's a worship song I was listening to, and it basically said, I'll submit to God's will. Whatever, this is what I've done, I completely flopped it. But like a moment I was like, Lord, help me. And whatever this looks like in the future, however you redirect me, I'm just willing to follow. Just I trust in you. Just that moment of I trust in you, Lord. And that was quite pivotal for me. Because, I mean, what came after, even going to sixth form again and failing my A-levels, once again, I just had to trust the Lord in the process. So that's one moment that definitely just changed my perspective. And the second one is actually this year. So I came to my 3rd year, and a lot of people are applying for placements and graduate schemes. So I started doing that as well. I'm working on my CV and my cover letter on top of all the assignments that I was doing, and I was just getting rejected Rejection, to the point I was memorizing the emails that they would send. Like, I know when rejection comes from the first line of the email. But yeah, so I was just getting rejected, and even with Rolls-Royce initially, it wasn't successful. And that was painful. Like, I was crying in my room, like, what's going on? Like, why did that not work out, you know? Because I was so close, but still yet so far. But then, you see, rejection is redirection, and I stand by that now. And you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I kind of lived that out this year. So, you know, I applied to mentoring, like I mentioned, 2 mentoring programs. One of them gave me an internship for 6-7 weeks. The other one is where my mentor, Sam, actually nominated me for Mentee of the Year. And because I won that, I'm going to have a 1-week work experience with Motorola.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is coming up soon in 2 weeks. And I'm so excited. But that also opens opportunities for grad schemes and so many, you know, opportunities. And I also came across Undergraduate of the Year award, January. Of course, when I'm looking at it, by target jobs is open for everyone in the UK. I laughed. I remember looking at it and I laughed as if I'm gonna get that far. But there was still something in me that was like, just try, just reach out and try. And I did that. I sent my application. You have to do 500-word essay. I recommend it for anyone actually studying in the undergraduate studies. Undergraduate of the Year award by target job, go for that. Honestly, don't hold back. You will still. There are things you'll learn in the process, even if you don't make it to top 10 or if you don't win. It's fine. The process, the journey in itself, will literally equip you with everything that you need. So I applied to that, made it to top 10, and ended up getting a call from Rolls-Royce saying, hey, are you up for a summer internship? And I got the call late as well. So I initially thought I didn't get it. So there were so many moments of rejection, to the point I'm like, why am I even trying? You know, it feels like the doors were closing. But then, because of the route I took, you know, not the normal route, but the different opportunities I took, I just grasped, they opened other doors for me. So, yeah, I think that just shaped, you know, my perspective on success. Even right now, I'm applying for mentoring programs with different companies, within motorsports. So many things, even just a quick thing, just over the summer, shout out to Motives, George, who's the CEO with Motives. So they're basically just like empowering the youth into STEM and into motorsport, just opening different opportunities and equipping young people with what they need into motorsport. So check them out, Motives. So I've always been following them and just been inspired by everything they do, and also George. He's a race engineer, works with Mission 44, with Lewis Hamilton. So over the summer, they had an opportunity. I don't know if you follow Formula 1, but they had Formula E event in London. The finale was here, actually. So on Instagram, on their story, both George and Motives posted, if you guys want a ticket, you know, just DM us. It was on Friday after work. I was tired. I'm like, let me just go for it. As if I'm going to get anything, but let me go for it, yeah? It's because there's only one ticket. I DM'd them. They got back to me. That in itself, I was surprised that they got back. But they're like, hey, Yulia, sorry. We gave the ticket to someone else already on the Saturday. But we'll let you know about the finale, which is Sunday. I didn't even know this was, Sunday. So I thought, okay, cool. Just let me know. On this Sunday at church, imagine we finished worship praying. I'm like, let me just check if they got back to me. I see missed calls from them. On my Instagram, they're like, our CEO George is trying to call you. Just let us know if you're still available. Yeah, so after service, I'm like, hey, we were almost finished. So I'm like, hey, yeah, like I'm available. I'm willing to come. Is it still open? And he literally called me. He's like, hey, Yulia, I'm at XL at the event. We'll give you the VIP ticket. Wow. Are you willing to come in like 2 hours or something, or like in an hour? I said, okay, what? I was shocked. But yeah, so I went. I spent hours with George. It was like a VIP experience. So we got to have the grid walk and got to actually visit the different pit lanes and the cars and see the drivers and actually see the finale take place and meet so many different people there. I've never had an experience like that. But all it took is for me to just take my chances, right? Even with the award, I just took my chances. So when you do this, don't see it as a waste. Don't see it as, as if it will happen. Do it. Try it. I always tell people, don't think about it, just do it. So, and then these kind of things come up. So, yeah, now I'm, trying to volunteer with Motives and work with them. So it just opens doors for you. So don't limit yourself. Don't limit what success looks like for you, I think. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
Long-winded, but yeah.
No, honestly, I think especially bringing it, because it's something that I've been trying to figure out where I'll mention on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I think kind of like what you're saying, I think this is the perfect moment. Because for me, I think, I guess, like I said, bringing it back to my faith, every year I feel like there is something particularly that God's trying to be this is what this year is for you. So I think for me, like you said, I think 2019 was literally just that year of just going out there, taking chances. The fact that I got to do a summer placement at the Environment Agency and I applied very last minute. I didn't have a CV, I didn't have a cover letter ready. So they were literally just they were coming to they were coming to our class and I was just cool, let me just quickly whip one up, send it over. I did. They then interviewed me. I was cool. And then even getting that was really great. I wanted to do a year placement, and my family were just look for one, keep looking. I couldn't find one that I wanted to do. They were all either in outside of London or they weren't in stuff that I was interested in. So the fact that there was one at Brunel that I only got emailed about because they extended the deadline because there were no good candidates.
Imagine I was waiting for you to fill up.
Exactly.
What?
And the thing is, I didn't even see the email, I think, until pretty late. And they were literally just they were just to let you know, this is here. So I was cool, let me check it out. And I was cool, I've done something, I've been on these programs before. I was let me just apply it. Now, to me, this is like I said, that year was just amazing because when I got called about the interview for that job, they were just cool, we want to interview you. I came for the interview. I think I might have been running a bit late, so I was conscious that they might be upset that I was running late. I got there, and I didn't know this, but my manager says it, and this is what I've always said when it comes to interviews, you just have to think that the interview doesn't start when you're in the room, it's from as soon as you arrive in the place. Because as soon as I got there, she said, she came towards me, she smiled, I smiled, she smiled, we shook hands, and then she took me to the interview room. She said, before I even did the interview, she knew she wanted to give me the job.
Wow. That's favour.
Yeah, honestly.
Right there.
And the funniest thing was, so for the other one, I think I had to wait a week or two before they told me I got the job. On the way home, literally, I'm just I'm on the Metropolitan line, I'm just chilling, I'm hey, the interview, family, I tell them, it went well, I'll see what happens. Literally on the way home, I get a call, and they're just oh, hey, Jeffrey, you okay? I'm just well, isn't now a good time to talk? I'm just yeah, now's a good time to talk. They're just just want to let you know, we'd like to offer you the job. And I was
Crazy.
Wow, okay. Because I was usually, you got to wait a couple of weeks, couple of days.
Few months
sometimes. Yeah. But they're just we want to offer you the job. Yeah, and even better. So obviously, I now had the summer one, and they wanted me to start the year one almost at the same time. And I was I'm so sorry, but I've got this summer placement. Is there any way this can be moved? Because I want to do this placement with you. I'm excited. It really sounds like something I'm interested in. And my manager was just yes, there's she was there's no way I'm gonna let you, she was I want you for the job. There's no one else I want. You're the best candidate. Let's do it. So for me, 2019 was just that of just trying things, not putting things off. 2020, I think, was definitely a year of just figuring things out. So just not necessarily just going crazy. Obviously, there was lockdown and stuff, but it was taking things at a slower pace. 2021, I would say, was the year, because literally, funny enough, that was the year when the podcast launched. So it was literally the year of just going out there and trying things. Because even for me, we were small, but then, we've now grown. And it was only because people I was like I said, as a Christian, God sent these people that I could work with, and I've had the pleasure of working with them, and it's all gone well. None of the guests have been bad. No one said anything I'd have to edit out and be oh, this is really controversial or anything. But yeah, I think this year, bringing it to today, I'd say this year has definitely been what you said about this whole idea of not seeing chances that people would say you've missed or you haven't done as good as you should as that. So there have been a lot of I even told my sister this, it got to a point where literally I was applying for all these competitions to bring money or awards that could help promote the podcast, and literally it was just cool, I'd apply, oh cool, you've been shortlisted or you got into the final, oh cool, so I'm gonna do something, and then it'd be bam, you didn't get it. And then I'd be bam, didn't get it. And you'd be like, right, cool. Let me apply for the next thing. Cool. Let me apply for the next thing. And I think like, got to the point where I literally just like to my sister, I was just like, look, I'm kind of getting tired of this because I was just like, in all honesty, like, don't even. I was like, if I'm not gonna win, don't even shortlist me. Like, just tell me I didn't make it.
It gets your hopes up.
Exactly. Because you're just there, and it's worse because sometimes you're just there and you're thinking like, oh, like I don't really know, and then like especially when like all these other people are winning, you're like, oh, okay, maybe my name's coming up soon. But I think for me, like it's just been my thing has always been just that. It's been like even if I don't win, I'm like the fact that I've got further than I was last year. So like whether it was the funding competition that Bruno had last year, I applied. Last year I applied, I got past the first stage, didn't get past the second stage. This time, I got all the way to the final. Wow. An organisation, Found Divine, they did the first year of their, like, this Change Maker Award program that they've done. Now, bearing in mind, I've never done a program, and they do a lot of entrepreneur programs, they do funding stuff. I've applied for their stuff, I didn't get it before. So literally when they were just like, oh yeah, you've been thanks for submitting, you've been shortlisted, like we're putting you as a part of the people that people can vote for. I was like, cool. Like,
they put you forward?
Yeah, so people could nominate you, but then literally, so they like judge. So you had judges that read through like all the applications and picked like who they wanted people to then vote for, and then they were just like, cool, like you've been a part of this selection. Now we want to let you know that you like people can now vote for you. So literally, like I was telling people like, oh, like if you could vote for me, that'd be great. Like my family, like my mom jokes about it. She was like sending it in every group chat she was in. Like my old manager, she was doing the same thing.
Mom's a plug. Actually plug.
Honestly, like she was just sharing it around with everyone, and I was thinking, okay, cool. You know, it's great, but I was just like, some of these organisations are doing like big work. Some of them are like registered business, so this is where like pick up the mic. We're not at that stage yet, so I was just like, oh, you know, they're registered business, so clearly like people. And then literally, I remember when it came, because I think it was the month, like they delayed like when the thing was going to come out a bit later, and they were just like, cool, you're in the top 5, and I was like, damn. Okay. I was like, damn. Okay.
Yes.
And yeah, even like I said, like I spoke to one of the like organisers of the event, who hopefully will be on the podcast, and we'll probably discuss it there. Which literally just this whole idea of like when we didn't win, I was like, you know what, it kind of does suck, because obviously in the like you're never like, even if everyone tells you like, you know, like I said, everyone says that and I'm not saying rejection is not redirection, but there are like in the moment, like we said,
rejection is rejection.
Yeah. But I was just like, wow. Like I told the person afterwards, I was like, you know what, like it while it kind of sucked to not win, I was like, I've only like as a team we've only been doing this for like 2 years, and like I'm getting to finals, I'm getting for like first time, like some of these other people were registered businesses, like, and I'm being told I'm in the top 5, like people are interested in what I do. So for me, I was just like, cool, I don't even care anymore about like winning itself. I'm just like, if I can exactly, and to get there, because I also said as well, like my thing is, just because like someone wins or loses, like doesn't mean, to me personally, doesn't mean anything, because there have been many times where I always think back to this, where secondary school, like I went to the what do they call it? Is it head boy? Yeah, head boy for sixth form. Yeah.
Hey, were you head boy?
Nah, I wasn't. You know, I went for it then. And like I did a speech and all of this. People joked because obviously like I was just comparing myself to Obama, and like every time I do like a voting thing, I always just put like an Obama quote. But literally like people were just like, so I didn't get it. And at the time, I was just like, that is so annoying. Like, I was like, oh, you know, like, people know me. And I can't believe I didn't win. But then what I think was really good is that they then did like, like these other positions you could apply to be at the sixth form. So I applied to be, they had an entertainment officer role. So I was like, let me just apply for that. And I won. And I was like, cool. And for me, my thing's always been this, is in the sense of like, whatever role, like, whether I win or lose, that doesn't mean that I can't do what I wanted to do. So like, at my sixth form, I did a talent show, raised like over £300 for a local charity. Like we had judges, it was like really fun. People enjoyed themselves, and I was like, cool. I'm making moves, even though I'm not head boy.
You make the most out of the other opportunities.
100%.
Yeah.
So for me, I was just like, you know what? Even like with this competition, I was like, because that's the most recent, so that's why I bring it up. So even though I didn't win, or like, you know, I don't know where in the top 5 I came, I was like, for me, I was just like, cool, like, I'm gonna show, not like it might sound arrogant, but not like show like I deserve it. But I'm just like, I'm gonna show like regardless of whether I win or lose, like I'm doing something good, and I know like people need what I'm doing, so I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna elevate it. I'm gonna keep growing, so that people can see. And I've always said that. Like to me, I've accepted now that like any rejection is gonna be amazing, because then I'll tell people like, yeah, like. Literally, like
you got a story.
Exactly, you got a story. Like I mentioned it before. Yeah, I promise I'll go into the next question after this. But I mentioned it before that like one of my lecturers, at like one open day to me was just like we were talking about like just A levels and stuff, and he was like, "What'd you get for A levels?" Told him my results, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, I don't think we would have let you in with your grades." And I was like, "Cool." Like I was like, I don't know why you're telling me.
Yeah.
But to me, like I said, the thing that I enjoyed the most, or the most humbling thing for that person, but the one thing that I took pride in was that I saw that person at graduation, and now they were in my graduation ceremony, and I was just saying that the fact that I could be there, like I'm on stage, I'm doing a speech, and even like honestly, people think I planned everything out. I did not plan I always plan, for my graduation speech to not necessarily be from the perspective of Brunel was amazing and did all these things for me, helped me, or the lecturers and all the, I'm not saying my lecturers weren't great. I had some amazing lecturers. But for me, I was just like, at the end of the day, like the people attending the ceremony are the students. So I was just like, I want
That's my focus.
Yeah, I want, I always, so this quote, and like people probably know it because I always bring it up, but there's this quote called in Latin, which is Sig Parvis Magna, which means greatness from small beginnings. And my whole speech was around the idea of, I want people like all these students, even like staff members, whoever's like listening, to know that like, okay, so you might not win awards, you might not have the best grades, you might not necessarily know what you're going to do tomorrow, or like what you're going to do career-wise. But that doesn't mean that like greatness can't come from what you're doing. You can't like grow, you can't develop, you can't like be a change maker, you can't start your own company. So for me, I feel like that's what, I guess the long version of that was just, I feel like that's what I'm taking away for 2023, even though we've got like a couple months left. It's
come back so quick.
Yeah, honestly, like September, and we're basically midway through September, and I'm just like, damn.
It's going too quick.
Yeah. But yeah, I think for me that's what I've taken. That this year has just been like, regardless of whatever happens, that doesn't mean that I need like my awards or accomplishments don't better or belittle the work that I do.
Yeah, and even the exposure. Like even when you're talking about how you are finalists for different awards, think about the exposure that you've gained in those sectors or in those awards. Like now, different people actually know about your company. Like you're familiarizing yourself and networking with so many other people. So you don't know what opportunity that in itself can bring. Yeah. So don't limit yourself out. I think sometimes we can hold ourselves back the most. There was a quote I forgot, but it was something like we can be not like our biggest enemy to ourselves, but we can kind of like hold ourselves back by limiting ourselves. And I think that's the mentality that we need to get rid of collectively.
100%. I think like inadvertently, like we had a list of questions, but we sort of like tackled some of these things.
I lost some.
But yeah, I think there's two key ones that I will definitely want to touch on, because I know we've discussed like success and advice. Well, actually, maybe three. But also I know the time is going, and I don't want this. I don't. We might have to do this as a two-parter, which is an issue. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm sure you guys are too. But yeah, I think one thing is, what would you say? Because obviously, like, mental health is really important to us at Pick Up the Mic, and we love to share resources that can support your mental health. And that's why we are so glad to have today's sponsor. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get you started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live appointments when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't right for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at an affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/pickupthemic. I've also linked them down below in the description. So again, that's betterhelp.com/pickupthemic, MIC, and start your journey today. I guess it will be interesting to hear your answer first, and I can talk about it as well. But you've done a lot, and like you said, you've applied for stuff, you've realised that rejection is a redirection, but also, like you said, you're doing all of this while studying. And like, I think for a lot of people, they can struggle with that. We've discussed it in previous episodes of like, you know, if you're trying to manage like even like the bare minimum sounds so rude, but I don't even mean it like that. But I mean, like, if you're a committee member, you got your studies, like you're also, I don't know, like you're doing stuff at home, like you got all of this stuff. Even like sometimes like when being a committee, like I've been on different committees, I know how much work it can be. Definitely. Even if it's like even if it should be simple, you're just there like doing 3 people's jobs, and it can be a lot. But yeah, I guess what I'd like to ask is, what would be some like strategies or some advice that for anyone that's essentially like, they might be going into their final year, they might just be going into first year, but you would say is things they need to know to how to manage, basically ensure that they can excel academically, but also ensure that they've got a good work-life balance and their well-being isn't being like lost because they're trying to do everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really good question again. I think that will vary for different people. I think initially it's really important to understand that don't compare yourself to other people. Everyone is different. The way, you know, some people can study and manage so many different things all in one go and still ace their grades. They can do that. Maybe they've been practicing, like you said, participating in being a head boy, head girl, or committees or different like responsibilities since they were young. Maybe you haven't had that exposure. So I think not comparing ourselves, that's something I struggled with. And comparison was a thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. I need to brush up my quotes. But you get the point. It's, because everyone's on their own journey, everyone's different. So understand that to begin with. I think in terms of managing workload and balance life, I think know what your priorities are. What are your actual priorities? I see this thing on LinkedIn, and it's what is like I should do or I must do. What needs to be done today? Out of your 10 list, it can be 2-3 things, and you feel like, I haven't accomplished it. You know what I wanted to do. No, 2-3 things to do it. That's your priority. So focusing on that, it saves you stress and anxiety that actually builds up over time. That's something I'm having to work on. Even today, I had to prioritize. I had to think to myself, what do I actually need to get done today? I cancelled 4 or 5 other things. You know, just do that process. So, get into a habit of learning that. Another massive advice I would give young people, especially if you're starting uni or returning, find people on your course. Don't try to do education, academia by yourself. Don't, you know, how did I balance or, you know, my application with my studies, especially third year engineering was so difficult, is because I had friends like who, especially a specific friend, he needed to get an internship this year or a placement or graduate scheme because of his circumstances. So for him, because it was a need, a must, we would spend hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, even longer in the lab doing our assignments. He would go back home to do his application. Because I was always around him, that fueled this motivation in me to go do the same thing. Of course, it varied. I'm not going to compare myself to him, but it was because I surrounded myself around him and other people. It just drove me to be able to push myself more than I usually would have, to eliminate that laziness, I would say, that could be there. So surround yourself with people. Maybe you need, you know, you're struggling with your assignments, but somebody else actually understands it, and you're struggling, you're spending 4 hours, 5 hours trying to get through it, when you can easily ask and help each other. You know, find these shortcuts. You hear like, don't work hard, like study hard, but study smart. So yeah, sometimes it's really about studying smart. Find the people. Go to your teachers. Ask your teachers for help. Something I didn't do and I'm going to do this year is a must. If you don't understand something in class, go ask your teachers for help. Ask for assignment. Because even in the end, if you're struggling and you go to them, let's say you haven't been frequently showing your face and asking questions to them, at the end, they may be reluctant to help you. However, if you're frequently asking questions, asking for help, emailing them, they know you're willing. They know you're proactive, you know. So yeah, be familiar with your lecturers, your teachers. Just don't try to do things by yourself. Keep your family relationships or friendship, that relationship you have with your own people, close. Like, nurture it. Don't neglect it. I know it's so easy to do that. I've been guilty of that, but nurture that, because it's something to fall back on, isn't it? You need that support. I think we need community. If there's anything I can just summarize, community. Find your community, find your people. And if you haven't found those people, don't just shut yourself in your room, you know, behind closed doors. Go, put yourself out there. I know it's difficult. My faith helps me with that. Like, I pray, Lord, help me find these people genuinely. And I believe God is faithful to guide us. So yeah, just go out, try it. If it doesn't work, try again. So yeah, I think I spoke about 3-4.
No, this is good. This is good.
Different things, yeah.
Because I think for a lot of people, like I said, I'd agree wholeheartedly with everything that you said.
Yeah.
That one, like, everyone's got their own sort of like balancing technique, and it's just figuring out what's the best for you. In the same sense of when it comes to like revision, like, everyone revises in their own unique way, and you've got to find what works for you. Because I think, like you said, for me, like I know we discussed about it like before. Like, for me, one thing that my sister recommended that I'm trying to do more is this idea of, like, I forgot what the method's called, but it's got like a fancy name. But it's like you spend 25 minutes on a task, like no distractions, no nothing. But the next 25 minutes is focused on whatever you want to do. Then you give yourself like 10 to 15 minutes of a break, but you have to ensure that like that 10, 15 minutes is going to be that break. So by doing that, it's like, okay, so I've got this period where I know like no distractions, no nothing, I'm focusing on whatever I need to do. But then you give yourself that 10, 15 minute break of like, okay, cool. So like, I've done what I needed to, now I can break. Now, if you finish the task in more than 25 minutes, cool, you can extend your break a bit longer. But having those like, okay, so for the next 25 minutes, I want to do this. And then after that, like after my break, I want to do this for the next 25 minutes. Because literally, like we said today, there's a lot of stuff, like to-do lists. I think, depending on the person, I think for me at least, I end up writing like every idea that comes into my head.
Sure, yeah. Same. I don't want to miss anything out.
Exactly.
It's like 2 pages worth of
exactly.
to-do list, yeah.
But then you'll realise like there's so much on there that you don't have to do like in one day.
Yeah.
Like, even if you could do it in one day, you probably end up like stressed and burned out. But there's so much that you put in it, like there's so much emphasis put on completing everything on your to-do list, and it's just like, no, like some things can just be like there are things that have to be done today, there are things that can be done tomorrow, and then there's things that in a month's time can be done.
Still possible, yeah.
So it's just figuring out that, like, just planning out your day, even if like you do a to-do list, then like read through it and thoroughly think like, oh, like if I'm, I don't know, like we're saying about jobs, like if I need to work on my LinkedIn profile, okay, cool. What can I do on my LinkedIn profile today? Am I gonna, like update my like achievements, or am I gonna work on adding a better photo, or am I gonna design my banner in a different way? And then doing that. But then if you say, oh yeah, I literally just need to work specifically on my LinkedIn profile, now obviously there's so much on your profile that you could get lost in like you could say I'm spending 25 minutes, ends up like 3 hours later you're still trying to like figure out how to make it perfect. But yeah, just give yourself like one specific thing that you can be like, cool, I've done this. And there's even like studies that show like being able to tick things off your to-do list does...
It motivates
you. Yeah, it motivates you.
You feel accomplished.
100%. And even like, I guess the second thing of like community and like working in spaces with other people. Like even, like again, I promise, Roundhouse aren't paying. I'm just saying this because I found it useful for myself. But like even working in like co-working spaces like Roundhouse Works or like other organisations, it is the whole purpose of them is it's supposed to be you're working in a space where others are working. Now, you might come to a co-working space and not talk to anyone. No one's saying you've got to come and start conversations, but like when you're in it, like we were supposed to record an episode, and I went to the person's office. They work in a co-working space. We couldn't record it, but they said like if you want to work there, that's perfectly cool. Now for me, I think I was only planning to be there for like maybe an hour. Ended up staying there for like 3 hours because I was just like, you know what, I'm getting so much done. You're surrounded by people that are just like, yeah, I need to like, I'm not here to like get distracted. I'm here to like get work done. And sometimes you need that because there were things that I was just like, oh yeah, you know, I'll do it when I get back, or like when I've got time, I'll do it. But I was like, you know what? I'm here. Like, I'm not going to be distracted. No one's going to like come and ask me questions. Like, I'm just literally in a co-working space and I can focus and put my head down and just get stuff done. So whether that's like you got to go to your library as a student, whether it's, you know, you want to start a business, you've got to look for a co-working space that can offer you stuff. Like, I'd say just find that space because then you can just focus solely on just doing the task.
Yeah, and something I was kind of thinking about when you were talking, something that did help me have that balanced lifestyle with my academia as well, is the element of pouring out what's on your mind. So for me, like, because I'm a Christian, that's prayer. Like I need to communicate with God one way or another. It doesn't just have to be just sitting at home on your knee praying. On your way to the library, on your way to somewhere, or just going out for a walk, or listening to music that connects you with the Lord, with God. So these kind of things gave me, it kind of like grounded me, if that makes sense. It just brought me back to focus, because like, what is my purpose? What am I really on this journey for? You know, why am I really running after these things for? So, and then also you burn out sometimes. Yeah. It's a big thing. It's a real thing. Burn out. So even just asking God for strength again, just to be renewed. So I think, I know it varies for different people, but one method a lot of people use is journaling. People journal. Go maybe somewhere in nature, outside of your room. You can find space, journal, pour out, just write. You're getting everything from your mind onto the paper. So, or speaking with people. Call a friend or someone that, even like a therapist, and just pour out and just speak. Speak your thought process, because sometimes we overthink it. That's me. I tend to overthink a lot. Yeah. But then when you're speaking out, someone else can give you a different perspective, or can. Maybe the situation is really not that deep, and they can kind of highlight that for you, or give you a solution. So yeah, I think, just find methods to pour out what's in your heart and on your mind. Yeah.
No, 100%. Like, even we did an episode, I don't remember when. Oh, YouTube will appear somewhere. It'll be in the description. But we did an episode literally talking about like following like motivations and how you can find stuff to help you achieve goals. Yeah. And literally, like, the person there said the exact same thing. Like, she journals morning and night. She has a strict routine. She focuses on like just looking after her health and her well-being. And it's literally like what you said, that just like having that, like for me, I don't do it every day. I'm trying to, but I also admit that work sometimes, like there are days when I'm pretty tired. But yeah, having, like, for me, I always end the day with like a journal to God, and I just write like, you know, thank you for this. This is what, like, thank you for all these things that happen in my day, and like this is what I'm praying to you about for guidance or for strength. And I've found that it's helped me. Like, whether you want to write a journal to God, whether you want to write it to just yourself, like, just getting all of that out is good, because you're like putting it somewhere that you can look back and be like, cool, like this is out of my head, it's there. And I think, like you said, like even just speaking to people, like I probably will look like, well, I don't do it in public, but like at home sometimes I will just be like saying thoughts out loud, because I'm like, cool, like I've got a lot up here, let's get it out. So like sometimes, whether it's like I'm planning stuff, I'll just be saying it, or whether I'm just like I don't know, like thinking about like what can I do next, or like I'm thinking about a particular thing, whether it's revision, I'm trying to focus on like what can, even like, well, not really on the way to work, but like even if I'm thinking about, okay, cool, so what am I going to do like as I go into work, like what am I, like I might be thinking in my head like, okay, so I'm going to do this and this and this and this.
I catch myself in it.
Yeah, sometimes generally, like sometimes you'll just be doing it and you'll just be like, oh sugar, I'm actually in public, like I need to calm down a bit. But yeah, no, it is good, and I think like it is something that, especially like when people are doing like a lot, they will, like, it is personally I love it. I think it's genuinely good. Obviously, there's not anyone listening to babbling that I'm doing, but like it is good for me at least to get it out of my head and just say it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it out on the table.
Exactly. But yeah, I think we kind of answered the last question, because the last question was going to be about like just sharing, looking back on your academic journey, sharing like valuable lessons and insights. But instead, I'm going to flip it and I'm going to say, so you're going into your final year at university?
Yes.
So what are you looking forward to? Like in a year's time, what are you saying that Yulia is going to be like? She did. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't prepare for this. Wow. Okay. So, like accomplishments, I would.
Yeah. So, like in a year's time, you'll be like, I look back on this conversation. I've set the date, September 16th, 2023, and in a year's time, you're gonna be like, wow, like I can't believe, like I did this.
Wow. Okay. I think. Definitely, okay, it may not be something new, but keeping up with the momentum that I've already begun just in the past few months when it comes to taking every opportunity that I can find. Of course, not everything. You have to use wisdom to discern which you shouldn't do, or else you'll overwhelm yourself. But yeah, I think take as many opportunities as I can, possibly. Put myself out there. That's also another thing. Actually, George from Motives, one advice that he gave me is just stay on top of people's minds, especially those within industry. Stay on top of the minds, and that made it like putting yourself out there, doing the most at times, being proactive, interacting to people, reaching out. There is no shame in doing that. I just want to say on LinkedIn, if you see my LinkedIn chat. Honestly, I'm like, hey, I introduce myself. If there's an opportunity, advice, something I want from that person, I put it out there. So by doing these things, I've noticed that they open doors for me. So don't limit myself. Really go out. Another thing is maybe taking opportunities that maybe different to what I had planned. Even something came up recently. It's not necessarily to do with engineering, technical work, but it's something on the side. It's a different role. It's more of a leadership role. I'm not really familiar with that, but I want to put myself out there because I have a story that I want to share, which even if it helps one person, right? So taking those opportunities as well. And I also love content creating. That's something I love. I've always wanted to do, but I'm shy, so I didn't do it. Honestly, there's so many reasons that held me back, caring about what people would think. Am I even gonna make a difference? Am I going to look silly doing this? But videography and vlogging or like content creating, I've got my phone. It's got so many footage that I've not even used, but I want to start doing that. I want to use social media to share my journey. It's not just this is what I'm doing, but when people see what I'm doing and they ask me, how did you get there? And I tell them, hey, I flopped. I failed so many times, more than you can even think about. And I'm in this position. That will hopefully just put a spark in them, like inspire them. So I want to use content creation, definitely grow in that area. Keep me accountable. You got to keep me accountable. But yeah, I want to grow in different areas, even faith-wise. I want to serve people, I think. Use my journey, my story to share and just serve others. So and I see that God's been giving me these opportunities, so I want to continue to build on it. I'm going to throw that question back to you. Okay. What is your answer? It's not an easy one.
Yeah, it's not an easy one. It's a tough one. In a year's time, I think first off, with the podcasts, I have to do something for our community to celebrate, because like literally, like I said, the way it's recorded, the episode where I go into in more detail is coming out later, but I literally spoke about that since we started, like we've never done an in-person event, and that's not necessarily because like we could. Well, one, it was because obviously when we started, COVID happened, so there was literally no point. And then also, it's just like trying to do anything in London, unless you've got like a plug or like someone that can give you a space for free. Like it is expensive. It is way too like, so we're trying to sort out some stuff for that, and hopefully, like I know I keep saying like we're gonna do something. I promise, like this time I have plans, so there definitely should be something that we will be doing soon. But I think definitely doing something to celebrate the community and doing more like in-person events would be my like big dream. Like I know we did do something for International Women's Day. That was the first like proper in-person event, but we haven't done anything to launch the podcast, celebrate. Like we've done over we've done over 50 episodes of like the first podcast that we ever did. So yeah, I would specifically want to do something to celebrate like all these milestones. So yeah, definitely podcast wise, that's that. I think secondly, kind of like what you said, like keep that momentum going. So for me, this year was the first time, I literally just started, like, I think in May, a public Instagram page. So obviously I've got my private one that I invite, like, friends and family to, like, follow. But then I was just like, I do a lot of stuff and pick up the mic. But it's not like, I don't really feel like it makes sense for me to share, like, pick up the mics here when it's just for me. on LinkedIn, I wouldn't share it on the Pick Up the Mic page. I'd share it on my personal page and then reshare it with Pick Up the Mic. So this year, like I was interestingly enough, Foundervine had an event called Founder Fest where they bring like all these people to come and share like advice, and you can meet them and network and all this stuff. And someone was doing one on like branding. So I literally just asked the person, hey, look, like I've got this idea, I've got this podcast. Like I want to do I don't want to have, like I've got my own personal page, but I don't really feel like sharing stuff like this fits in it. And she was just like, yeah, just literally start. So I think doing more of that, like getting to like posting and sharing more about like you said, like my content creation journey, doing more stuff, going to do interviews. Like, I will be doing some more interviews in the coming weeks. Again, like I said, like this month and next month. Pretty busy, but that'll be fun.
It's good though, good.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot like planned that we're working on, and so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, doing more of that would be really good. And then I think there's two more things. I think one, like you said, faith. I want to keep developing and growing my relationship with God, and like I think like if it comes up in the podcast, like feeling. Like not necessarily I feel like I couldn't, but like sharing more of my journey, because like I said at the start, like I feel like especially when it comes to black people, there is a tendency for us to like be like, oh no, we don't want to talk about like we want to talk about our successes but not our failures, or like we want to make it seem like we're doing amazingly well all the time when like sometimes things are tough. So sharing more of my own experiences, my own journeys, I think that is something linking to like my relationship with God that I'd like to do more. And then very finally, sort of like one. It's like a two-parter. So one, giving more opportunities for people to like work and pick up the mic and like to share their own journeys. So continue, like obviously we're not stopping picking up the mic, but like bring more people on to like to discuss stuff, to host their own episodes that we've got to do stuff. But also I think kind of like what I don't actually think I ever mentioned it, but because when Pick Up the Mic started, out of like I was doing my undergrad in my final year, and if you've done a master's. Or like, if you've done a master's, you know that's basically almost child's play. It's really not. I'm not saying like if anyone going to final year, please, like you will find it the toughest thing you've done. But then when you come back and do a master's, you find it even tougher, because you're trying to do obviously undergraduate. You've got 3 years, and then you got your dissertation at the end. Masters, got 1 year. You've got to like sort out your life in 1 year. So I think for me, when it started, I had the most time out of everyone on the team. So I was just like, okay, cool. I don't mind like. And also, like, it was my idea, so I was just like, I don't feel fair to like put pressure on my two co-founders to do stuff, because I was just like, they're doing their masters, they're trying to sort stuff out. We're all in a pandemic, like we're all in at home. Like I don't want to put pressure on them. I was like, I've got the time, I've got the effort, let me do it. But yeah, now I will like everyone's. There's more like stability. Most like I think all of us on the team have like left university or graduated, and we're all either like working or we're looking for work. So there's a lot more freedom that I can give. So even though it's not necessarily like, I guess none of the things were specific about the podcast, but like I think specifically for me, I just want to get into a place where I can give more responsibility to like the team or like people who are interested in like supporting the podcast. So like I said, if they want to record a podcast, or if they want to host an episode, or if they want to do stuff, like I can be like, cool, this is what I need. Like I can give you access to spaces and stuff, but this is what you would need to do. And maybe, like, by God's grace, if I do it in the next year, this would make me super happy. But even if not, like, to have it that with us now being like a podcast network, that people, so like all the podcasts we do for the most part are ones that like we've come up with as a team. But even to have people say like, oh yeah, I'm like, you know, like if it was paid, I'd love it. But like even people to turn around and be like, cool, so you've got the facilities, you know the equipment, I want to do a podcast, I want to work with you, like this is the idea, like these are the people that we want to host it, so that I like, even if I've always said I'm happy to be behind the scenes, and also like if someone wants to work on a podcast, someone to do stuff, I'm always happy to do that. But I think I think in the next year to turn around, there's one other thing I need to add. But so there's what I think with that, it would be really great to just like have people like come and host podcasts under Pick Up the Mic, that we can be like, yes, like you fit what we're trying to do, and we're really excited to like support you. But I know that I don't need to worry about like coming up with ideas or doing this.
Yeah, it's already there.
They're doing it.
You just need to provide.
Exactly. And the very last thing is like one overarching things and then smaller things in it, which is basically just, so doing the speech at graduation was definitely a dream come true. I want to do more speeches. So literally on my like 30 things I want to do before 30 list. I definitely want to do a TED Talk at some point.
Just waiting for that.
Yeah. Like I like if you're watching, look for a TED Talk host. Just let me know. But yeah, TED Talk I definitely want to do. I definitely want to do like more workshops or like engagement with people who want to do like get into create like whether it's content creation or like podcasting or whatever, but like just giving them advice on stuff that I've done and I've learned, and growing, like we've got a consultation service, so growing that as well. And then very finally, I think to the dream, like the big dream would be to do interviews at a red carpet event. Now whether that's me doing it like full Pick Up the Mic and we've been invited to do it at like an event, or we've invited to to do it at an event, that would be amazing. Even if it was like, specifically like, I don't know, like let's say BBC, like it's just like, cool, like we're going to be at this event, we want you to come and interview like guests for a film or a TV show or an award ceremony. Like that to me would be like, I was screaming from the rooftops, and like that would be like honestly the biggest dream, because like I love doing podcasting, and like I said, I know we've done a lot of like in-person interviews over the last like couple of months, and those have been really fun because it's just like quick fire stuff. Like most of the time I don't even know the person, so I'm literally learning about them as on the go. So yeah, and I feel like to just do that like would be that would be the thing that I'd literally like, I would share, everyone like LinkedIn,
they would know about it.
You would like, I do it like my graduation speech, I keep it quiet, I wouldn't tell anyone, and then I literally just put in my story like a little snippet, they'll be like, and then I'll literally afterwards like, yes, I've been here the whole time, I'll do this. And like I think if I was ever to like do it at a red carpet event and there were like certain celebrities that friends or family members said like they're big fans of, I would just try and get like a photo or like get a video message for them, and just be like, oh yeah, I'll just send it to them on fly. I won't say anything, I'll just be like, just drop it. Don't
even respond after.
Because I think that would be like, to me that would be like a big thing, because I'd be like I said, I love doing interviews, I love meeting people, to do it at a red carpet, or even to do like a interview like for another like for an organisation, but I'm interviewing them like sort of like in a, I guess, presenter style, like we're in a room and I'm asking them questions, like that would be the dream.
And what's stopping you?
Exactly.
Like you're literally on the way. Maybe you might even be limiting yourself with what you're dreaming of, who knows,
That's true.
Really
that's true. That's true. So yeah, if you're looking for an interviewer or a speaker, just a little plug.
What are you doing?
But actually, with that, I won't like the idea only came this week, so it probably won't be out anytime soon, depending on like how work is and stuff. But even like, because I know for a lot of speakers, and even for a speaker I met at a like event I went to, who does a lot of like work with BAFTA, so she does a lot of interviews and stuff like that, shows panel discussions. Like she was saying, like having like a show reel, so example of your work is really good. And before I used to have one, and it was just like a general overview of Pick Up the Mic. But I'm currently working on one for myself, and like I don't like, basically I did like, again, this was like godsend, because this idea just came out of nowhere. I was thinking, maybe I'll just like make a, base it off like, just stuff I've done before, like just introduce myself, maybe put some footage. But I don't want to spoil it, but basically like it's based off one of my favourite films, the way I'm going to style it. and I'm praying that they don't because there's specific music that fits what I'm doing. And if you're an avid watcher and you've watched me talk about some of my like favorite people, like TV shows and films, you know you should hopefully know what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna do my whole show reel on a specific, like based on a specific style from. I don't want to say if I say.
Can't give away too much.
I don't give away too much. But yeah, from a TV or film, they do introductions like really cool, and I'm planning out the next hopefully week or two is going to be planning out how it's going to work. And yeah, I'm hoping when you guys see it, you're going. I will again shout from the rooftops. But I'm praying to God that the people that own the music, I'm not trying to steal any money from you. So I promise.
Right.
Exactly. So but yeah. So when that comes out, I will let you guys know. I will share it on everything. But yeah, that would be my dream.
Yeah, keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out. But yeah, we now come to the end of the episode. Thank you, Yulia, for coming on. Yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah.
It's been great. I know our audience I've learned a lot. I'm sure our audience have learned a lot. If anyone wants to get in touch, they want to speak to you about some of your experiences, maybe even want to invite you to come and speak at events. What's the best way for them to do that?
Just reach out via my social media. I'm really active on LinkedIn, even on Instagram, so yeah, you can find me on that. And I'm really willing to help, really willing to even give advice, whatever it may be. So feel free.
Perfect, cool. And yeah, thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back for another episode.
Yeah.
If you like this episode, like, comment, subscribe is always appreciated. And if you want to make sure you don't miss any of our episodes, then please make sure you click the notification bell, which is at the bottom of the video. Next thing, if you're interested in receiving some perks, maybe you want to support the podcast, please check out our Patreon page, which will be in the description below. And very finally, if you want to see some of our other stuff, as I mentioned in a video a couple of weeks ago, we are now split off some of our content. So if you're interested in gaming, you should pick up the controller series. We will be adding our old episodes and hopefully be recording some new ones, so there'll be some more content there. There's obviously the Two Maces channel, which continue to discuss a wide range of comic book and sci-fi and historical TV shows, so if you're interested in entertainment, check it out. And finally, if like me, you like a bit of anime, then please check out our Senseis of Anime podcast. All of these you can find at the top of our YouTube page. So if you go to the top, you'll see like a featured under Pick Up the Mic, and you'll see those 3 channels. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell on each of them so you don't miss out their videos as well. Yeah, we're going to close the curtain today. It's been a great discussion, and we'll see you next time when we go behind the curtain to discuss another topic.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, thank you very much.